Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be watching Yopaj Templar Assassin. Congrats to Boom on the recent victory. It's been a pleasure to watch him, and Yopaj this game goes 14-0-10 on Templar Assassin, makes some absolutely insane outplays this game. And yeah, this is a hero I really want to talk about because TA has been very high priority in professional games. I think this hero is a fantastic hero in pubs as well. It does require a good amount of mechanical skill, but the thing about TA is they just buffed it recently. I couldn't believe it. The hero was already good, and then they just made it where Psyblades is a flat amount of damage. Now, technically this is like a slight nerf to Psyblades range later on into the game, but it's a massive buff to Psyblades in the laning stage. You can actually use them again to harass your opponent, which essentially just made TA a good laner, right? She's just a very good laner now. Her weakness in the past was she couldn't put any pressure until the later levels, or she would have to take meld to do that, sacrificing points in refraction and Psyblades, which kind of sucked in some situations. And alright, let's talk about TA. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, getting into it, we got our little starting items going on. Also, one thing to consider is that a lot of the time against TA, people are going to try to block your small camp, so just be aware of that. Be ready to ship out a sentry as soon as possible. Do not sacrifice the small camp. Don't be lazy and not unblock it. A little bit niche, but I did want to talk about it. In terms of starting items, he goes 3 Tangos, 3 Branches, a Quelling Blade, and a Fairy Fire. Clearly maximizing on damage. Not completely, right? But definitely doesn't go some sort of like 3 Tango, 3 Branch build and leaves it at that, right? I could see players doing that to get the bottle as fast as possible, but he doesn't do that at all. He really maximizes on damage, and I think it makes sense. Now, a big thing for the current TA that's really important is essentially knowing how to play around Psyblades correctly. This first wave is a masterclass in that. I mean, it's like so beautiful how he doesn't overcommit for creeps at all. You can see he basically stayed on his high ground because he's against the Jakiro, right? It's not a fun matchup. It's not terrible early on, but it's not great. So he plays back and is just going to go for the denies, right? He didn't even step up to the wave until like the last second. Now, against some heroes, you actually want to Psyblade right away. It depends. We'll get into like what his thought process is, but he plays back. He actually straight up just plays for the denies, but doesn't walk up until then. TA still has really bad range at level 1. You still have a purely offensive ability at level 1, so you kind of need to play accordingly. A lot of TAs will overextend and just get punished by a Flame Guard, a Static Remnant, a Jakiro Q, whatever it is, early on at the wave. Just don't get punished by it. You should generally just stay back and play for Psyblades early on. So one thing to keep in mind about TA, guys, is that you can just straight up jungle as you get into the later levels. Now, the main time you want to start jungling is generally around level 5. However, you even can do it at level 3 if your lane is extremely bad. Tundra obviously counterpicked the Yopaj with the mid Jakiro this game, so he just starts jungling at minute 4. Funny enough, the Shadow Demon ends up reading this. Saksa is just like completely trying to contest this stack because he understands, you know, this is TA's way back into the game, making stacks for herself or having supports do it and farming in the camps. But yeah, this is like a really important tip because if your lane goes poorly or you get counterpicked, assuming, you know, you're not last picking every game or sometimes you just get unlucky, you can do this, and you should be okay with it, because you actually jungle as fast as most heroes lane, right? It's just how TA works. She's just one of the best, if not the best jungling hero in the early game. And so yeah, do not be afraid to jungle. Even here, he basically only shoves in the wave as Jakiro goes to contest the rune. I love this, right? He sees a very small gap, a 5 to 10 second window where he can get away with cleanly shoving the wave. On top of that, now he has Gloves of Haste and Boots, which he rushes as quickly as possible. One thing to keep in mind is if you are owning your lane, let's say you're playing against something like, you know, some Storm and you're having a great lane, what you can do, or an Invoker, you can actually rush Gloves of Haste. This is the best item to rush because it allows you to just maximize the amount of Psyblade attempts you can throw out, clear the waves very quickly, especially with your refraction charges. As you hit level 5, you can, you know, very quickly clear the waves and look for a lot of Psyblade damage. So yeah, do not go for the Blightstone early on. Rush shreds as soon as possible. It's the best way to maximize your early farming and early damage. And you can see Yopaj clearly agrees with that. in this replay. Now, in this game, he gets a lot of stacks from, his teammates. Boom clearly puts a huge priority on stacking for him. And, this is very common to see in the pro scene. Now, in your average pub, you're generally not gonna get that many stacks. So what you want to do to maximize efficiency for yourself is you want to clear every minute wave. What I mean by that is you want to clear the waves that spawn at the minutes. So the 6-minute wave, the 7-minute wave, and so on. So for instance, right here is 8 minutes in. Let's say you want to go stack the Ancients. What you want to do is you want to pop your refraction as early as possible into this wave. You want to clear the mid wave and then go stack after you clear the mid wave. This is going to basically make you not miss very many lane creeps. You might miss a few, and you have to be a little bit careful. If the enemy hero is like a DK or Jakiro, they're just going to take your tower if you try to stack basically at all for yourself. But, sometimes you can't do anything about that. Either way, the point is that's when you want to stack. That's when you basically want to shove in the wave, right? The minute waves, clear it as fast as possible, then clear the small camp, then stack. That is the maximum efficiency play basically every time, right? Because the wave is going to spawn. The small camp is going to spawn as well. So it's a fantastic set of maneuvers to optimize your farming. Now, in terms of TA, this hero, the early game is basically just about knowing how to maximize your farming efficiency, which I kind of described earlier. You generally clear mid, then clear the small camp. However, if you're getting contested, obviously you don't have to do this. For instance, here, the enemy team is sort of invading his tri-camp and his jungle, so what does he do? Well, he just, shifts away from that and literally just jungles, and this is totally fine. That is kind of why when you pick TA, you generally want to pick it not with a greedy mid. Can you? Absolutely, right? You can. You can play TA with Terrorblade, you can play TA with Spectre. I would just make sure that if you are going to do that, you at least have a decent mid matchup or you know how to win lane as this hero. Because if you lose lane as TA and then jungle with a Terrorblade on your team, someone's going to get tilted. Someone's going to get tilted. Now, in this game, Yopaj does something that's freaking crazy to me, which is he rushes a Blink. Now, here's why it's crazy to me. I personally see Blink as the most valuable item on TA in games where you can easily blink out because the enemy team doesn't have a lot of take damage. But they have Sandstorm, Jugspin, and Jakiro. It's not a game where he can easily blink out when he goes in or if he walks in. However, seemingly he just thinks that he needs to play tempo this game. And I think the main reason for that is look at Tundra's draft, right? One thing you'll notice about Tundra's draft in particular is the fact that they have a very high tempo team comp, right? Juggernaut as a carry is a hero that can get active. They have a Jakiro mid who's going to take all your towers. So he seemingly just wants to be able to play tempo. Now, the most common item build is honestly just Dragonlance. And the reason why is it's just good, right? It just gives you range, lets you hit from far away. So that's like the most standard build. But yeah, he goes Blink this game and he's actually going to use this Blink Tiger to consistently shove the waves, right? It's a much better dead lane item or wave shove item than Dragonlance because, right, you can clear the wave and then get out. To be fair, D-Lance lets you hit from far away, but the point is it's a cool adaptation because, to be fair, in this game in particular, his team actually does not have a great hero to play the dead lane. His supports can do it, but as a core, he's the best guy, right? So if the supports are making a play, he wants to be the wave shove guy in that case. Now, the craziest part of this game is easily the fact that Yopaj's items look like this at minute 19. A Blink into BKB. I don't think I've seen this on TA for a very long time. But his idea here is very clear. The enemy team has a Sand King Jakiro, in any team fight, if he doesn't have BKB, his fate is going to be clear. Sand King is going to jump him, they're going to follow it up with a Macropyre, and the TA is going to have a hard time, he's going to die. So, yeah, this build, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it most of the time in pubs, only because, usually just with good positioning, D-Lance Deso is the way to go. Frankly, people don't have very good target priority, so you can get away with just going a more DPS-oriented build and essentially letting your team take the brunt of the damage and cleaning up. It's a very good strategy. It's a very reasonable thing to do and a good thing to do in your average pub, which is if you're playing the high DPS hero that doesn't initiate, which is what TA is, you let your team go in first, right? As TA, you are a reactionary hero. The only time you can set up fights as TA is later on into the game when you have your shard to silence and maybe an Axe, right? Or at least something like BKB Blink, right? Now he has this BKB, and so he's going to blink in here, right? He goes on to 33, pops the BKB, secures the kill. Obviously not fantastic to pop a 9-second BKB for one kill, but it's decent nonetheless, and yeah, this build is definitely cool. In terms of talents as well, I'd just like to mention that he takes 20 attack speed at level 10, Cyblade, and Spill Range at level 15. Honestly, I can't believe they made this. They didn't get rid of this level 15 talent or change it. It's still just insanely good. The fact that you just get 120 attack range at level 15 and spill range now, which is good too. All right, next up, let's look at fight selection from Yopaj here. I think this is like what's so good about him as a player. I mean, like, dude, he had no deaths this game, right? So clearly his decision making was top tier to never die in a game like this. You know, imagine you put a 3K in a game like this. No offense. No offense, guys. There's no way they're not dying at least like 5, 6, 7 times. At least. Right? I mean, even if you gave them like a 5K net worth advantage or 10K net worth advantage, they would still die a shit ton in this game because of the matchups, right? Either way, look at this fight, right? Big thing to consider here. Grim gets picked off. Bad BKB from the Razor. Brew is in a bad spot. He was going to go for this like meld play, but thinks better of it. Honestly, probably was even a little bit risky to go for it in the first place, but he's like, okay, you know, gotta chill. Was gonna look to shove in the top wave. Probably just didn't want to get caught by a smoke, so instead he doesn't fully disengage. And on top of that, he also reads this very fast movement from Tundra here, right? Tundra immediately after they get these kills smokes across and goes to mid. And the reason why they do this is they know the Razor has no BKB and 2 teammates are dead. However, Yopaj, you might be looking at this, be like, what? He's gonna go in? Well, they used all of their Blink Daggers. They have like very low mana. They used Static Storm. They used Omni. They used Epi. And he has BKB. On top of that, his Brewmaster with ulti is respawning. As a result, he knows everything has been committed on Razor, obviously. In order to kill like a 1800 HP Razor, you're going to have to Sand King stun, Jakiro stun, Jug spin, etc., etc. So they have nothing. They have Disruption, but they don't really have anything important. He's able to go in here and get a really nice trap, kill off the Disruptor, and look to chase. This sets up for a kill onto the Shadow Demon. Sand King goes in as well, and they kill the Sand King too. So beautiful fight, as they even end up getting 9 on the back end here. Beautiful fight from Yopaj. Great awareness to understand, okay, my teammates are dead, but they've had to use everything on my Razor. And that is also why I love this team comp that they've built around the TA here. Razor is a carry hero that can actually go in first. He's a BKB Russian carry that really enables the damage of the TA. Brewmaster is very similar in that regard. Brew is another hero that can just, you know, go in and provide vision for the TA. He can lift up the TA threats. And so yeah, just fantastic decision making from Yopaj there. After that, they go straight into Rosh, just a TA classic. You know, win a team fight, buy the Roshan pit, take Roshan. Fantastic. Now he's got his Deso, and they are off to the races. At this point in the game, he's just confident. You know, Brew has an ulti. He has an Aegis BKB, Deso timing as well at 23. Fantastic timings. And yeah, at this point in the game, he can basically jump whomever. Goes on to snaking here. I would say like jumping a hero like Disruptor is kind of shitty because Disruptor at this point in the game doesn't do that much, really. You know, once Static Storm gets nullified by like most heroes' BKBs, it's not a great hero to jump. Sox is definitely his best target, I would say, if he can, you know, kill him from full. But either way, it goes in, does force out some defensive spells, gets put into a weird spot. He BKBs here, which I like this decision because a lot of players might be like, oh, I have Aegis, so I'm going to say BKB. Well, you don't want to burn your, like, if you know that you're going to live by popping your BKB, it's good because you want to save an Aegis that's lasting for 4 minutes. So I love this decision from Yopaj to BKB here. Saves the Aegis and now can go heal up and go from there. Gets earned, so doesn't even have to go back to base and get some bounty runes. Pushes out onto the map, clears waves, and this is something great to do. Anytime you win a fight on TA, you want to get aggressive traps out on the map. You want to trap all of their hills, all of the jungle hills, clear all of the waves, and you're fantastic at doing that because obviously when you do that, you two-shot waves with Deso TA, and on top of that, you can clear through their entire jungle. After you do that, you can clear through your entire jungle as well. They obviously look to play up here with this Aegis, but you get the gist. In pubs, usually after you win a fight, you want to shove in the waves and then just clear every jungle camp on the map. That's the way you're going to snowball in most games. So one thing he does as well that I really like is he puts a high priority on his shard here. You can see he has a shard by the 25-minute mark. This is what I like about it. Number one, you can silence for up to 3.5 seconds. It's a long silence. And the thing is, you can have like a gajillion of them in the team fight, right? This is one of the best shards in the game, hands down. And I don't think people prioritize it nearly as much. Really, I don't think people prioritize it almost at all compared to what it should be, because it increases your trap count by 4 as well. So you can have, what is it, 15? 15 traps? Yeah, 15 total traps, which is insane how many traps that is. That's so much vision. And it increases the vision on the traps as well. So these traps just see a lot, right? They give quite a bit of vision as well. which is key, right? Because a big part of traps in TA as a hero fundamentally is the vision game. People don't get this. They play TA as this right clicker, right? They don't play TA as this hero that controls hills with traps, and that's why, you know, people lose a lot of value on this hero. They don't do this as much as they should. Anytime you're going to go into an area, you should be trapping everything. Even here, I think he probably could have trapped one of their high grounds to scout it out, but he has all 15 traps on the map. Make sure when you're playing TA at this point of the game and you buy your shard, you have 15 traps out at most points, right? If you're going to, you know, let's say siege a mid-tier 1 tower, you should have 3 traps in the area, and you should be able to pop those traps in the team fight if you're trying to get to the highest level as this hero. That's what you have to do. All right, so next up, he's going to go for a Bloodthorn. I definitely love the Mage Slayer here in particular, man. Like, the Mage Slayer build-up in games like this where the enemy team is like mostly magical damage, even Juggernaut is like largely magical damage, right? With his eventual shard plus spin talent, he's largely going to be doing magical damage to you as TA. And obviously the rest of the heroes are purely magical. So, you know, I love the Bloodthorn in a game like this. It makes so much sense to me just for that reason. And the Orchid, it's kind of up to you to determine whether or not the enemy team has Dispels. If they don't, Orchid in particular is really, really valuable. So, like, let's look at the heroes. No Dispel on Disruptor. Jakiro has BKB, that's pretty normal, but still, you can force the BKB. Jug, whatever, he has Manta, but okay, you just ignore the Jug. No Dispel on Sand King, no Dispel on Shadow Demon. So he has 3 very, very good Orchid targets as well. You want to be careful about going Orchid in games where you do not have good Orchid targets or heroes that can Dispel, or like if they have just a ton of Dispels, because then like, it's just bad, right? To put it simply, you should just go Hex or D-Lance or Silver Edge or, you know, Daedalus, something like this. All right, next up, one thing I also want to mention is you might look at this game and be like, oh, he shouldn't take Refraction instances. I think the Meld Bash hit is just like generally shit, to be honest. It is a 1-second stun, but like he's going Hex, and 7 Refraction instances is just 700 more damage as well. Like, it's just very significant. And the 7 damage block against something like Jug is going to come into play. You're not always getting gone on at this point of the game. You know, it's pretty hard for like Jakiro to cast spells on TA. So there's definitely that. But all right, as we get into the fight, once again, it's just very key that he essentially goes for targets that he knows he can burst. So once again, this Disruptor does not have the proper defensive items to deal with a TA at this point of the game. So yeah, he just jumps him. Very clean jump with the Disruptor, gets that kill, goes on to the Jug next. I think they hit him somehow with an Inkswell. But he goes down as well. Just a clean jump. And you want to make sure when you're jumping, it's like that. If it's not this clean, crisp jump and you're not instantly blowing someone up, you're probably messing up, right? You're probably going to grief the game as TA. And you got to be careful about that. All right, at this point of the game, basically what you're doing, especially when you get ahead, is you want to trap up every area around Roche. Even here, I actually think he should be putting down a few more traps. I really don't like that he doesn't have a trap on high ground here and one here. I definitely think he should be doing that. So, you know, Yopaj just not that good at Dota. What can you what can you do? But besides the point, as we go in here, he's roaching, right? This is the main thing you want to do. You want to get your Aegis, and then you want to go into Vice almost every game. And the reason why late game Vice is so good, especially when your team like lacks instant stuns, right? Like their offlaners a brew, right? That like this hero does not instant stun, this hero does not instant stun. So they really need to hex this game. So like late game hex in games like this is fantastic. If your team has like a ton of disables, you have an Axe or a Sand King or an Enigma or like Refresher Tide or whatever, then you can be a little bit more greedy, right? You can go like Daedalus, for instance, this game, right? Because the Bloodthorn gives you plenty of attack speed. It only crits when you have the actives. So, you know, having a Daedalus would be fantastic, and you could go a route like that. So it just depends on the game. This game, I love the Hex purchase. The enemy team has very mobile cores in the Sand King and Jug, and they even have a backline Jakiro, so it can be hard to kill him without like a hard disable. Yeah, so I love the decision to go Hex this game, and it instantly pays off. On top of that, when you have your level 25 talent, you just hit so hard because you constantly have refraction charges. So yeah, the Hex just kind of works. Upcoming here was Yopaj's most crazy play of the game. I couldn't believe like what he was doing here. I remember watching it, I'm like, what is he doing? The reason why it's so confusing what he's doing here is his whole team dies, right? It's like worst case scenario. Like his Razor gets bashed on the TP out, it's a disaster. And the casual play here is usually clear a wave and get out, right? Like go top, clear a wave, maybe, because they have like a Sand King with Aether Lens, so you know, it's a bit suspect to try to go in, right? Like this guy can catch you from really, really far away. Besides the point, he sticks around and hunts. He finds the kill onto the Disruptor, but I don't know what happened with 33 here. How did he miss the stun? What? I guess he just misclicked or something. I don't know what happened there. I think it was like quick cast or whatever, but either way, he misses the stun because this could have been a disastrous play from Yopaj. Thankfully, he just barely got the blink out. But whew, he got it close. That would have lost him the Aegis, and this is a 3-minute Aegis. This is not some like last second Aegis. Probably would have died too because of Jug Basher. Can't really TP out. So I don't know. That was insane, man. However, it is very important to note that TA is very good at playing hills. Like, those areas are where TA thrives because you can trap all of the hills. So you should basically always have the vision advantage and the jump advantage with Shard. So do keep that in mind. In this upcoming play here, I love his decision making. I think most players in this exact scenario that we're about to watch would just panic and not hit. When you go in as TA, you can't go out. If you blink in and you don't have a pike, you're not getting out, right? So at that point, basically just man up, guys. Like he has Aegis here, but even if he didn't, the correct play would just be to man up. Don't try to run away almost ever. You're a slow hero with no disengage, especially with a build like this. So I like what he does. Just goes onto the Sand King, tries to clean him up. Great leash from the Grimstroke. Freaking such a good leash. Almost kills off the Sand King. Ends up getting pretty hard committed on. But once again, does not run away. Just mans up, secures the kill into the Jug. A lot of players, once again, would panic. They were like, oh my god, I'm dying. You know, I have no BKB. I'm going to die again. Just man up. If you get caught, get out your damage. You do a ton of damage. Basically, TA kills whoever she hits. So you just got to be able to hit. And yeah, that's exactly what happens there. She's able to hit. Kills off the Jug, kills off the Sand King, almost catches the Shadow Demon. And yeah, beautiful fight that basically wraps up the game for Yopaj here as they go high ground. Jug dead with no buyback. Gonna be pretty hard to fight with a late game Sand King Jakiro dual core and no Jug. But yeah, love this Refraction talent. This talent in particular, also the Meld Dispels talent against their team comp is pretty freaking good. Good against Thunderstrike. It's really against Dust because of Dust Omni Slash. Like, you kind of have to have like a gem or dust to catch TA in the late game, but you can perch a dust when you click meld, so like Omni Slash can just get completely disjointed if he's not careful. And yeah, but it's really good against Jakiro in particular. And yeah, goes onto the backline, hunts for the Disruptor, gets disrupted, and ends up cleaning up this match. So I just really wanted to talk about this game. This performance was just so clean to me. It's a very clear display of just some really freaking top tier TA gameplay. You know, this is just some good shit. You know, it's beautiful laning stage, doesn't feed to a Jakiro, gets out of the laning stage, gets into the jungle when he needs to, buys items that I think like, you know, really are hard to play with, you know, because Blink BKB on TA, you hit hard, but not that hard. Either way, you know, like it really plays beautifully around these item timings, such good jumps. Right, beautiful target priority in the team fights. But yeah, nonetheless, congrats to Boone on this beautiful victory against a very top tier team in Tantra. And yeah, hope to see more from them and Yopaj in particular. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!